Alright, but let's get back to the main topic. Where could Putin escape from Moscow to? Well, it's unlikely to be Hungary or Slovakia, we've already figured that out. Maybe he'll hide in Crimea, which is temporarily occupied, huh?
Crimea has historically been part of our territory, even from a legal perspective.
It is also true that he is a self-taught legal expert. No, you won't be able to hide away in Crimea, Putin. That's exactly where the armed forces of Ukraine will definitely get to you very quickly.
The Ukrainian Navy spokesperson reported that the AFU struck 2 Russian ships, or Kotnik, which are part of the Black Sea Fleet in Crimea. According to him, these patrol ships were involved in guarding the Crimean Bridge.
And, it's not just about the Flamingo missiles or the Neptunes. This is the weaponry that will soon return Crimea home to Ukraine.
Weapons that are prepared and ready for use, and are just waiting for the right moment.
The explosives can vary depending on the assigned tasks.
Yes, this is an underwater drone, known by the seemingly gentle name Marichka.
The Marichka is measuring 6 meters in length and 1 meter in width. And thanks to its rather large dimensions, it can carry a very substantial and powerful explosive charge, and strike even the largest targets.
Yes, Marichka is a terrifying and deadly weapon for the Kremlin. And yes, Marichka will become the killer of the Crimean Bridge.
Scaling up the production of the Marichka drone is essentially a death sentence for Putin's makeshift constructions in the Black Sea. The previous strikes with Magers, incomparable in scale, will seem like child's play to the occupiers. After all, a ton of explosives will hardly leave anything alive of the much vaunted bridge supports.
And friends, just so you understand, the Marichka drone is truly a unique high-tech weapon. Listen and judge its capabilities for yourselves. Someone in the Kremlin is clearly feeling unwell.
The Marichka can literally lie in wait and outlast any danger. The advanced technology used by our developers astonished the community when it was openly discussed. It turns out that the drone can stay completely motionless in ambush for weeks and at the right moment make a sudden dash and destroy its intended target.
And of course, during wartime, the Ukrainian military command certainly won't reveal all its cards. But let's put it this way, the occupiers understand that preparations for the main attack on the Crimean Bridge have already begun. It's underway.
Just in February 2026, several serious incidents have already been recorded in the area of the overpass. So, in the middle of the month, explosions were heard at night in the Kerch area and on the opposite shore of the Kerch Strait, and traffic on the Crimean Bridge was temporarily halted. The following night, due to a UAV attack, the bridge was closed for the entire night. 12 trains disrupted the schedules of the western section of Russian railways, and more than 700 cars were stuck in traffic jams. Based on the assessments of military analysts, this strongly suggests an active phase of reconnaissance before a potential strike.
Friends, and also regarding the temporarily occupied Ukrainian Crimea, on February 26th, Ukraine observes the Day of Resistance to the occupation of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea and the city of Sevastopol.
This right here is Ukraine.
Referendum, boycott. Referendum, boycott. Crimea is Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine, not Russia.
These are the scenes from February 26th, 2014. At that time, a rally was held in Simferopol in support of Ukraine's territorial integrity, where Crimean Tatars, Ukrainians, and representatives of other nationalities stood together. And the message was clear: Crimea is Ukraine once and for all.
Will you go to the referendum?
That is a no.
Why?
We are against the illegal referendum because everything has already been decided for us and we will not go. We are boycotting the referendum.
No to war! No to war!
We all must say no to war!
Obviously, the maniac Putin is still telling these deceptive fairy tales that have absolutely nothing to do with actual reality.
We did not acquire it. The people living in Crimea made the collective decision to reunite with Russia.
So, we've just listened to a real war criminal. Now let's listen to real residents of Crimea who did not want to stay silent and do not want to stay silent.
I do not want to live in Russia anymore because it is a place where I am constantly told how I'm supposed to live my life, and it is a country where the flag of my own nation is simply not allowed.
And by the way, even those few Crimeans who used to support Russia are now deeply shocked and disillusioned by these so-called liberators.
Did we really vote for Russia so that Russia would leave us without any means to survive? Why is the administration setting up our Russia with its actions so that people end up running over here? Ukraine gave us jobs, but under Russia we were left without work. The actions, what they're doing, they're discrediting Russia itself. That's the point. It turns out that 300 people are left in their old age. Who is left in their old age? Look around. There are not any 20 or 25-year-olds here. It's all people between 40 and 60. Where do we go? Who will hire us now at this age?
And I can say one thing, Crimea was, is, and will be Ukrainian. That's a fact.
Dmitry Vasilyevich, regarding the main priority of the Russian army, we heard that it is the Donetsk region. It's important for everyone watching to understand this. And I want to highlight one more point with you. Now that the war has started in the Middle East, it's very important not to forget that the Ukrainian armed forces are operating very successfully, not only on their own territory, but also in the temporarily occupied Crimea. Here you go. In Crimea, which was annexed by Russia, temporarily annexed, during an attack, the commander of an S-400 air defense missile division, Kasan Tolgoev, was killed by Ukrainian defense forces. What can you say about the recent period in general? What successes have the Ukrainian armed forces achieved in Crimea? And what are our prospects at the moment, as of the beginning of 2026?
There is ongoing systematic work to deplete the enemy's air and missile defense systems. In other words, the process of eliminating the active protection of strategic military and logistical facilities in the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea is underway. The latest successes of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. These are strikes accordingly on the S-300 and S-400 surface-to-air missile systems, and most importantly on the radar complexes of these surface-to-air missile systems. This is quite remarkable. In other words, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are neutralizing the eyes and ears of the Russian air defense system. Moreover, a combination of both fixed-wing drones that have been integrated with Starlinks, which allow them to effectively bypass the Russian air defense system, and various specialized Ukrainian Striker sets are being used. We are talking about strikes using Ukrainian, both ballistic and accordingly cruise missiles. The main strikes are being carried out on the deployment points of the Russian aerospace forces, specifically targeting the active airfields, Saki, Jankoy, Belbek. Furthermore, the logistics infrastructure of the Russian occupation army is under constant and heavy attack, as well as critical storage points for fuel and lubricants and other related facilities. For power supply. In other words, the groundwork is being laid for an economic and accordingly logistical blockade of temporarily occupied Crimea, NATO classification. This process is officially known as the first stage of preparatory strategic operations for the direct deoccupation of these temporarily uncontrolled Ukrainian territories. This is what is referred to in NATO classification. The tactic of leapfrogging, that is gradually step by step. The defense forces of Ukraine are addressing the issue of neutralizing the military presence on the occupied peninsula, and at the same time are working to block the logistics of the occupation army and accordingly the occupation administration.